Hi, my name is Konstantin Baum. I'm a master of wine and you guys asked me whether I could do a video on decanting. So this is what I'm going to do today. But instead of just explaining it, I'm going to do it with an almost 50-year-old bottle of Bordeaux. And on top of that, I'm going to taste test whether I can smell the difference between a not decanted wine and a decanted wine. Are you guys ready for this? It is widely accepted in the wine world that wine will change in flavor when it's exposed to air. Some wines will benefit from this exposure to air, while the vast majority of wines are ready to be poured straight out of bottle. However, even the wines that benefit from exposure to air will go bad after a while. It might take hours, days, or weeks, but all wines will oxidize and turn into vinegar eventually. There are three basic practices of exposing wine to air: letting it breathe, caraffing it, and decanting it. Letting it breathe generally refers to the act of opening the bottle and letting it sit on the table for a few hours before dinner. In my experience, this is not really necessary. The surface area that interacts with the air is in this case way too small for this process to really change the smell and the taste of the wine. Caraffing and decanting wine has a more pronounced impact. Caraffing refers to the practice of pouring wine into another vessel. This is often done with high quality young wines that are supposed to be aged and are not quite in their drinking window. This will generally open up the wine, remove hydrogen sulfide and cure wine from reduction. Decanting is different to caraffing, as on top of trying to give the wine a little bit of air, it mainly aims at separating the sediment from the wine. The sediment consists of crystals of tartrates, polymerized tannins and other solids that fall out during the aging of the wine. Unfiltered wines tend to develop a sediment earlier in life than heavily filtered wines, and white wines tend to have little or no sediment at all. The sediment doesn't look good and it tastes a little bit bitter, so it's sensible to remove it before pouring the wine in your guest's glass. While caraffing and decanting wine are common practices and there's little dispute about the benefits of removing the sediment from a wine, there's actually not a lot of scientific information about the advantages of exposing wine to air after it being bottled. One of wine science's great, Professor Emile Pinault, said that the longer a wine gets decanted before being poured, the more diffuse its aroma becomes. And even Jancis Robinson says that fully matured wines should only be decanted right before serving them because some of them are fragile. My personal experience is that it's always wise to smell the wine first before pouring it into a carafe or a decanter. If the wine smells more muted than it should, then it's often wise to expose it to oxygen. If you don't have the time to let the wine develop in glass, it is wise to use a carafe instead. But in order to verify this, I will try the same wine from the same bottle blind from 3 different glasses. In glass number 1 will be the wine poured straight from the bottle. In glass number 2 will be the wine poured from a carafe. And in glass number 3 will be a wine that is super exposed to oxygen by putting it into a blender. Yes, so let's go. So this is a young Syrah from Crozes Hermitage, a very good wine, but it often benefits from a little bit of air. And I will pour this in glass number 1 straight from the bottle. For caraffing wine, it doesn't really matter which type of vessel you use. It could be a glass carafe like this, or it could just be a pint glass like this. As long as it's clean and doesn't give off any odors, it's fine. You can do caraffing with red wine, white wine, and even sparkling wine to open them up. And the only thing you need to do is pour it. So just go and do this. That's it. Super easy. And the more oxygen the wine gets, the better in general. Yes, this is really happening. In order to make sure that the glasses are in a completely random order, I got this, my randomizer here, and I will just sit here, close my eyes and wait a minute, and then we'll see whether I can identify which glass is which. All right, let's dig in. I have to say that the differences are not super pronounced, but I would say that this is the most closed up. So I think this is probably glass number 1 poured straight from the bottle. This is quite beautiful, it's fairly open, and I think this is glass number 2 poured from the carafe. And this one is also fairly open, but it feels a bit weird. So I think this is probably glass number 3 from the blender. But let's see. So now let's have a look which glass is which. This one I said was glass number 1, but it is actually glass number 2. Damn it. So the wine from the carafe felt a little bit more closed up. That's weird. And this wine was glass number 1. So this was the one poured straight from the bottle, and this was the one I preferred. So this must be glass number 3. I was right on that. It felt a bit weird, a bit edgy. But this kind of goes to show that caraffing doesn't necessarily have a strong impact. I have to say though that I didn't carafe it for a long time. If I would have exposed it to air for a longer time in the carafe, the results might have been a little bit different. So now let's decant a wine. In order for the wine to throw off some sediment, you need to wait a few years. I had a look around in my cellar and found this 1975 Chateau Beychevelle from Saint-Julien in Bordeaux, which should be old enough to have developed some sediment. You should put the bottle standing upright the day before or the evening before you want to drink it, ideally, because it's better if the sediment already falls down to the bottom of the bottle. It will make it easier to separate the sediment from the wine. Apart from that, you really only need a glass, a carafe. It doesn't have to be a fancy carafe like this. It could be any type of carafe. Then you need a flashlight. I will use my phone today. And you need a wine key. So let's go. I like to cut off the whole capsule of the wine because it will make it easier to spot the sediment when it comes through, and it's just cleaner. The cork doesn't look great, so let's see whether I can pull it out in one piece. I'm not really sure whether I can. Pulling a cork can be an art form when it's a bottle like this, so watch me do my magic. That's why they call me the master. Well, so with an old bottle like this, it's good to clean off the mouth of the bottle a little bit because there is some residue there. And the old capsules sometimes still contain lead, so you want to clean that off as much as you can before pouring the wine. So what I do now is I pour a little sip of the wine into my glass. Just be gentle and very careful in order not to disturb the sediment. Then you give it a little bit of a smell. There's still something there. And then you pour that little sip into your carafe or into your decanter, because sometimes those things aren't really clean. It's difficult to clean carafes and decanters properly. So by doing that, you just wash out all of the residue that might still be in there. So the next step is you want to use a white surface to make it easier to spot the sediment, and you turn on a flashlight, or you might want to light a candle depending on how romantic you are. And then you start pouring. You have to be quite careful with the wine in order to make sure that no deposit, no sediment comes through. You just hold the wine over the flashlight and you will see all of the little bits and pieces that flow through the neck of the bottle. Generally, this happens at the end when the bottle is fairly empty, depending on how well you stored the wine and how often you shaked it before decanting it. So towards the end, you see little bits and pieces, and this is when you should stop pouring. And that's it. Just try it at home and you'll see it's not that difficult. This wine, the 75 Beychevelle, is already declining in quality. It smells a little bit of cherries, but also of mushrooms, and there's quite a lot of tertiary flavor there. I don't think it will keep for a long time in the carafe, but you only really know once you pop the cork. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked, then please like it down here. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. My question of the day is, what do you think about caraffing and decanting? Do you do it? Do you not do it? Comment down below. Let me know what you think. Hope I see you guys again soon. Until then, stay thirsty.